Ever wonder how a politician can get such a powerful reaction with just a few words? How they can make you feel angry or hopeful or scared without you even realizing it? That's not an accident. It's not charisma, and it's not luck. It's a science. They are using proven psychological tactics designed to bypass your rational brain and hit you right in the emotions. Psychological warfare isn't just for battlefields anymore. It's happening on your screens, in your mail, and at every political rally. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 of the most powerful mind control tricks politicians use to get your vote. By the end, you'll be able to spot them every single time. This isn't about which party is right or wrong. It's about understanding the techniques used across the entire political map to influence you. The goal isn't to make you cynical, it's to make you aware. Because the only way to build a defense against these methods is to understand them. And a quick but necessary disclaimer, this is all for educational and self-defense purposes. The goal here is to arm you with knowledge so you can make truly informed decisions, not to teach you how to manipulate people. Real democracy depends on critical thinking, and that's what we're here to build. The first, and probably the most ancient trick in the book is, number 1, creating a common enemy. Think about it. What's the fastest way to get a diverse group of people on the same page? It's not a shared goal, it's a shared threat. Politicians are absolute masters at this. They will invent or blow an enemy way out of proportion to unite their base and create a powerful sense of us versus them. This tactic is brutally effective because it taps into our most primal tribal instincts. Our brains are literally hardwired for survival, and for thousands of years, survival meant belonging to a tribe and being suspicious of outsiders. When a politician points to a common enemy, they're firing up that ancient software in your head. They're telling your subconscious, stick with me, stick with our group, or that dangerous other is going to destroy everything you care about. The psychology behind this is called in-group, out-group theory. We naturally bond with people we see as part of our in-group and feel suspicion or hostility towards the out-group. By manufacturing an enemy, a politician instantly makes their followers a tight-knit in-group. This trick boils down complex problems, like the economy or healthcare, into a simple good versus evil story. Suddenly, you're not debating tax policy anymore. You're fighting for survival against a threat to the nation. This enemy can be another country, immigrants, the media, the elites, or the opposing political party itself. The language used is often meant to dehumanize this enemy, making them seem not just wrong, but dangerous or corrupt. We see this constantly. A politician might blame a specific group for economic problems, shouting that they're taking your jobs. Or they'll label critical journalists the enemy of the people, a phrase designed to make you distrust any information that doesn't come directly from them. It's no wonder that, according to research from the Pew Research Center, a huge number of both Republicans and Democrats now see the other party's policies as a direct threat to the nation's well-being. That's not just disagreement, that's the result of this common enemy strategy. So how do you spot it? First, listen to the language. Is the politician trying to unite people to solve problems, or are they trying to divide people by blaming a group? Be skeptical of anyone who frames every issue as us versus them. Second, question the enemy. Is this group really the cause of all our problems? Or are they just a convenient scapegoat for complicated issues that have no easy answers? A scapegoat is a tool to redirect your anger. Finally, look for information that humanizes the so-called enemy. When you see their side of the story, the simplistic, evil caricature the politician painted starts to fall apart. Ever find yourself getting furious at a whole group of people after a political speech? Yep, that's the common enemy trick at work. Next up is a tactic that works perfectly with the first one. It's number 2, emotional hijacking. Politicians know a powerful secret about your brain. Emotions process information way faster than logic. If they can make you feel something strongly enough, they can basically hijack your decision-making, bypassing your rational mind completely. The goal isn't to persuade you with facts and data. It's to create a powerful feeling that you then connect to them in their campaign. The two heavy hitters here are fear and hope. Let's start with fear. Fear is the ultimate motivator. It's a survival instinct that makes you react instantly. When you're scared, you're not thinking clearly. You're just looking for safety. Politicians exploit this by constantly hitting you with messages of threat and danger, a technique called a fear appeal. They paint these terrifying pictures of what will happen if their opponent wins: economic collapse, skyrocketing crime, lost freedoms, maybe even war. Research consistently shows that when we're afraid, we're more likely to support authoritarian leaders who promise to protect us. For example, a common tactic is to paint a picture of a country on the verge of chaos to motivate voters. It's a textbook move. Create fear, then present yourself as the only one who can save the day. The psychology here taps into something called the availability heuristic. When a politician repeatedly shows you scary images and tells you scary stories about crime or immigrants or national security, they make these rare or exaggerated events feel common and right around the corner. Your brain starts to think the threat is much bigger than it really is, and you react emotionally. This isn't just about winning an election. It's about justifying power grabs and silencing anyone who disagrees, all by pretending to save you from a crisis they helped manufacture. But fear is only half the story. Politicians also hijack your emotions with hope, pride, and nostalgia. They use soaring music, patriotic flags, and grand promises of a better future to make you feel inspired and part of something bigger. They talk about returning to a golden age or building a brighter tomorrow. These positive feelings can be just as manipulative. They create a halo effect where the good vibes from their message make you see the politician as more competent and trustworthy, even if there's no evidence. Barack Obama's 2008 "Yes, We Can" slogan was a masterclass in this. It wasn't a policy paper, it was an emotional promise that mobilized millions. So how do you defend yourself from emotional hijacking? The key is to separate the feeling from the message. When you hear a political ad or speech, ask yourself, how is this trying to make me feel? Frightened? Hopeful? Once you spot the emotion they're aiming for, you can mentally set it aside and ask, what's the actual substance here? Is there any evidence for these claims? By putting a mental wall between their emotional appeal and the logical argument, you take back control. Ever notice how campaign ads feel more like movie trailers than policy debates? That's emotional hijacking. We're about to get into our third trick, which explains why you hear the same political catchphrases over and over and over again. If you're finding this breakdown useful and want to learn more about protecting your mind from this stuff, take a second to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about giving you the tools to think more clearly in a world that's constantly trying to manipulate you. Your support helps get this information out to more people. All right, let's get to trick number 3. It's one you're exposed to thousands of times during an election cycle. Number 3, the illusion of truth through repetition. Ever heard a political slogan so many times you can't get it out of your head? Make America great again. Build back better. This isn't just catchy marketing. It's a deliberate psychological strategy based on the illusory truth effect. Here's the bias. Our brains are more likely to think a statement is true if we've heard it many times before. Familiarity literally breeds belief. The psychology here is all about mental energy. It's just easier for your brain to process a familiar statement than a new one. Your brain mistakes that ease of processing as a signal that the statement is true. So when a politician or a news channel repeats a simple, catchy phrase on a loop, They're not trying to win you over with logic. They are wearing a pathway into your subconscious. The message gets familiar. That familiarity feels credible, and slowly, without you ever really thinking about it, you can start to accept it as fact. It doesn't matter if the statement is a wild oversimplification, misleading, or a flat-out lie. Repetition can make it feel true. This is the cornerstone of modern propaganda. A campaign will pick a few key talking points and hammer them relentlessly on TV, in ads, on social media, and at rallies. Think about how a negative nickname for an opponent gets repeated until it just sticks. The goal is to define that person in your mind with one simple phrase. Once that definition is set, it's incredibly hard to change because everything that person does is now seen through the lens of that repeated label. This is especially dangerous in our modern world. Social media algorithms amplify this, creating powerful echo chambers where the illusion of truth is reinforced by every single post in your feed. The repetition doesn't even have to come from the same person. When you hear the same talking point from a politician, then a commentator, then your friends online, the effect becomes even more powerful. So, what's the defense? It takes conscious effort. First, when you hear a phrase repeated constantly, treat that as a red flag. The repetition itself is a signal that it's a manufactured talking point. Ask yourself, why do they want me to believe this so badly? What's the agenda here? Second, fact-check the slogan. Don't just absorb it. Actively look for evidence from multiple, credible sources that either supports or debunks it. Is there any data behind the claim? What's the other side of the argument? By investigating instead of just absorbing, you break the spell. The next time you hear a political slogan for the 10th time in one day, remember, its power isn't in its truthfulness, but in its frequency. The fourth trick is the most modern and maybe the most sinister on our list. It's a type of manipulation previous generations never had to deal with. Number 4, the personalized echo chamber through digital microtargeting. If you've ever talked about something with a friend and then moments later seen an ad for it on your phone, you've had a small peek into this world. Now imagine that same technology being used not to sell you shoes, but to sell you a political candidate. That's political microtargeting. Campaigns collect huge amounts of your personal data, your age, location, what you buy, websites you visit, what you like on Facebook, maybe even your religious or political leanings. Then they use AI to build a detailed psychological profile of you. With that profile, they send you highly personalized political ads designed to perfectly match your specific hopes, fears, and biases. The psychology of microtargeting is based on resonance. A message is most persuasive when it feels like it's speaking directly to you and confirming what you already believe. This is called confirmation bias. We're all wired to accept information that confirms our worldview and reject information that challenges it. Micro-targeting weaponizes this bias on a massive scale. You're not just seeing a generic campaign ad. You're seeing an ad that an algorithm decided was the single most effective message to persuade you. Your neighbor might see a completely different ad from the very same politician. You might get an ad about protecting jobs, while they get one about environmental policy, each one tailored to push your specific emotional buttons. This is a quantum leap in political manipulation. In the old days, propaganda was a blunt instrument, like a national TV broadcast. Now it's a surgical tool. Campaigns can find small groups of undecided voters and hit them with just the right message to nudge their opinion and maybe swing an entire election. And because it's all happening on your private social media feed, it's mostly invisible and unaccountable. You have no idea if the political reality you're seeing is the same one your friend or neighbor is seeing. This has been shown to fuel the spread of misinformation, as false stories can be targeted to the people most likely to believe and share them. The Cambridge Analytica scandal was the big wake-up call, where the data of millions was used to build these targeted ad campaigns. So how do you possibly defend yourself against this? First, you have to be fiercely aware that your social media feed is not a neutral window to the world. It's a reality that has been curated for you. Recognize that political ads that feel eerily personal are almost definitely the result of micro-targeting. Second, actively break your echo chamber. Deliberately seek out news and opinions from outside your usual political bubble. Follow publications or people you disagree with. The goal isn't necessarily to change your mind, but to understand all the arguments and stop an algorithm from narrowing your worldview. Third, use digital privacy tools. Limit the data you share, use ad blockers, and be very skeptical of those online quizzes that ask for your personal info. You are more than a collection of data points to be targeted. But to prove that, you have to consciously step outside the personalized bubble they've built for you. We've made it to our final trick. A subtle but incredibly powerful psychological tool. Number 5, the halo of authority. This one isn't about what a politician says, but how they present themselves. The halo effect is a mental shortcut where our positive impression of someone in one area makes us think they're great in other totally unrelated areas. For example, studies show we tend to think attractive people are also more intelligent and trustworthy. Campaign managers know this inside and out. They work tirelessly to build a halo of authority, credibility, and strength around their candidate. The psychology here is called authority bias. We are conditioned from birth to respect and listen to authority figures. It's a mental shortcut. A politician can exploit this by surrounding themselves with the symbols of authority. This can be literal, like speaking from a massive podium surrounded by flags and uniformed soldiers. Or it can be more abstract. They project supreme confidence, speak in a decisive tone, and never, ever admit a mistake, creating the impression of a strong, unshakable leader. They'll also hunt for endorsements from respected people, celebrities, business leaders, former generals, to basically borrow their credibility and stick it onto themselves. This tactic is designed to make you feel like the candidate is above being questioned. Their authority is presented as a fact. When a politician talks in grand terms about their vision, appealing to ideals like patriotism or moral duty, they are building this halo. They're no longer just a candidate, they're a visionary, a protector, the living embodiment of the nation's values. And once that halo is in place, it becomes much harder to criticize their actual policies. Any attack on their ideas feels like an attack on the leader themselves, and by extension, an attack on the country. The defense against the halo of authority is to consciously separate the person from the policy. First, be skeptical of the stagecraft, the flags, the music, the cheering crowds. It's all designed to build that halo. Ignore the symbols and focus on the words. Second, judge the policy, not the personality. Does their economic plan actually add up, regardless of how confident they sound when they say it? Are their claims backed by evidence, or just by their own powerful-sounding statements? Don't be afraid to question someone who acts like they have all the answers. True experts welcome questions. Manufactured authority fears them. Finally, look at their track record, not just their promises. Don't let the shine of a carefully built halo blind you to what's really there. So there you have it. 5 of the biggest mind control tricks in the political playbook. Number 1, the common enemy, which unites people through shared hatred. Number 2, emotional hijacking, which bypasses your logic with fear and hope. Number 3, the illusion of truth, using endless repetition to make things feel true. Number 4, the personalized echo chamber, using your own data to build a perfect trap of persuasion. And number 5, the halo of authority, using the symbols of power to seem unquestionable. These tactics aren't about left versus right. They are universal techniques of psychological influence, used for centuries and now supercharged by technology. They are all designed to do one thing: stop you from thinking critically, but now you can see them. You can recognize the divisive language of a common enemy. You can feel the pull of an emotional ad and choose to use your logic instead. You can spot a repeated slogan and question it. You can see your personalized feed and know it's not the whole story. You can look right past the flag-draped stage and analyze the actual policy. Understanding this stuff isn't about becoming a cynic who trusts no one. It's about becoming a smarter, more discerning citizen. It's about reclaiming your own mind. The health of our democracy depends on people who can think for themselves, resist manipulation, and have thoughtful, reasoned debates. That is the real work of freedom. If this video opened your eyes, please consider liking it and sharing it with someone who needs to see it. And let me know in the comments, which of these tricks do you see the most out there today? Thanks for watching, and stay critical.